Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the virtual graduate school orientation. My name is John Schaefer. I'm the Associate Director for Graduate Student Success and Professional Development with the Graduate School. To kick things off, I just wanted to let you know that any communication, whether you have questions or comments, can be placed into the chat function. So the first thing I want to ask is type into the chat if and you can just type in alumni. If you are an alumni of UTSA, type that into the chat. Let's see how many alumni we have with us. We have a lot. Go runners, go runners. Okay, next for anybody outside the state of Texas, type in where you're from. So that could be the US or outside of the US. Germany, China, Colombia, Afghanistan, Nigeria, Ghana, wow, the Netherlands, Arizona, Philippines, Mexico, Iran, or excuse me, Iran, Pakistan, Vietnam, Nigeria. Wow, that's wonderful. Well, for all of you, if you are an alumni, welcome back to UTSA. And if you are not an alumni and are new to UTSA, welcome to the University of Texas at San Antonio Graduate School. Congratulations on you all starting your graduate programs. We're really pleased to have you here. We have a nice program for you. It's going to be quick, down, and dirty, but I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we'll be doing. I'll be kind of going over some of the things that you can get involved in, that offerings from the graduate school. We'll be doing a panel discussion with current faculty and alumni of the graduate school. They're going to be talking to you about how to be successful as a graduate student at UTSA. We'll follow that up with a Q&A session with some of our campus services. So the Registrar's Office, International Student Services, Well-being Services, and I'm missing one. But we have about 4 or 5 representatives that'll be here to answer questions that you have in regards to those areas. The program will end at 12:30 for our domestic students. For our international students, we will ask you to stay on the webinar until 1:30 so that, excuse me, I think it's actually, sorry, till 1 o'clock. The agenda was slightly off, till 1 o'clock. And during that time, International Student Services representatives will be talking to you about a few items. So I guess let's go ahead and get started. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. And let's get it started from the beginning. Oops, that didn't start it from the beginning. Okay, so this is me. Again, my name is John Schaefer. I am a 2-time alum of UTSA. I received my bachelor's in communications, public relations, and my master's in higher education administration. I have worked at UTSA since 2006, so a very long time, and have been in my role in the graduate school for about 13 years. So this is, I think, if I remember, this is my 15th fall graduate school orientation. And let's see. So one thing, if you want to, you don't have to participate, but let me see if I can open up the chat. Yes, you all are on mute. The question is, are you on mute? Yes. Any questions you have or comments, you'll have to put into the chat. That's part of the webinar function for Zoom. And it also allows us to record this program and place it on our graduate school YouTube channel. So what I'd like you to do is kind of as a little icebreaker, type into the chat just one, and try to make it as short as possible. One interesting fact about you. It could be a hobby. It could be, whatever. Okay, Sean, I'm also a huge Trek fan. Crochet. Retired Air Force, nice. Motorcycle, photographer, guitar player, bilingual, weight training, nice. I performed in the Macy's Day Parade. I performed, if you all know what the Tournament of Roses Parade is, I marched in the 100th New Year's Day Tournament of Roses Parade. That's not the fact I was going to share. I'm going to let you all kind of keep typing. So one interesting thing about me, and for alumni, this will probably mean more than our new students. So our UTSA's mascot is Rowdy the Roadrunner. And usually Rowdy will make appearances at all of our sporting events and oftentimes on campus at university or student events. I have been in the Rowdy suit many times. So it's fun to be have the opportunity to be the mascot of UTSA. So that's a fun fact about me. So let's talk a little bit about the graduate school. And so one of the things that we want to make sure of is that you all are getting involved or excuse me, that you're, I'm getting ahead of myself, that you guys are getting started in the right direction prior to the start of the first semester, which is next week. We're almost there. So if you haven't done so already, you can get your UTSA ID card either in person or online. If you go to the campus services website, which again, one of the campus services representatives will be with us later this morning. But you can get your UTSA ID in person or online. And if you're in person, it's either on the main campus in the Multidisciplinary Studies building or the downtown campus in the Frio Street building. But again, if you go to the UTSA Campus Services website, you can order your UTSA ID online. Do you absolutely need it the first day of classes? The answer is no. It's not that we're going to kick you off campus if you don't have your UTSA ID card. Oftentimes we get a question from alumni that receive their bachelor's or master's here. Do I need to get a new UTSA ID card? The answer is no. You can use the same ID card. Parking permit is online only. And again, that's through the campus services website. You just click on the parking and then you choose your parking, pay for it, and that will be mailed to you. If you need assistance with anything having to do with our one-stop under strategic enrollment, which is financial aid, enrollment, or admissions, you can either email One Stop, you can come in person. They're located in the John Peace Library on the first floor, or you can call them, and I believe the number is still 210-458-8000. We want to make sure that you are checking your UTSA student email regularly. This is the primary, actually the sole way that the university will be communicating with you. So whether it be the university, the graduate school, international student services, One Stop, all emails from all official emails from the university go to the student email account. So make sure that you're checking that regularly. Become familiar with ASAP, Blackboard, and Zoom. You can set up all of those accounts. The ASAP is already set up. You can go into Blackboard. Your faculty will be using Blackboard for your classes, assignments. There'll be chat sessions, your grades. A lot of that will be posted on Blackboard. Your grades will also be posted. Official grades will also be posted on ASAP. Air Rowdy is our campus Wi-Fi. And so first time you come on campus, you'll have that option to add air routing. Make sure you do that. Covers all of our buildings and many of our common areas. And then, of course, setting up your Zoom account if your classes are requiring any type of Zoom meetings, you want to make sure to set that up. All that is provided by UTSA. And then, of course, if you haven't attended your department or college orientation already, those invitations will most likely be coming. We don't track that, but you will have a department or college orientation invitation. Sometimes those tend to happen even into the first 2 weeks of classes. So just be on the lookout for that. And again, you're going to want to check your UTSA email. We highly encourage you to follow us on social media, meaning the graduate school. We are active, highly active on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We have a lot of great sessions that are pre-recorded on our graduate school YouTube channel. Again, it's UTSA Graduate School. Feel free to search through those. If you find a topic, feel free to view it. And then we're also active on our LinkedIn group, which is UTSA the Graduate School. So again, all of our events, which I'm going to be talking about here in a minute, a lot of our events, our programs, funding opportunities, all of those things, not only do we send out via email on a weekly basis, we also post all of them on our social media. So keep up with us on any of those platforms or all of those platforms. Now let's talk about the graduate school and what we offer you. We like to make sure that you're getting involved outside of the classroom because we have so many opportunities for you to professionally develop yourself. And it's simply, we're offering you the opportunities. You just simply have to take advantage of them. All of these programs are free to our graduate students. And so let me talk about just a couple of them. First of all, we have our micro-credentialing badge sessions. So those sessions, if you attend, for example, this semester, we're providing our sessions as part of series. So we have a professional soft skills series. We have a citation skills and copyright series. So if you attend, let's say we haven't nailed this down yet, but each series has approximately 4 sessions. They're all virtual and they're all synchronous, which means they're live. And so if you attend, like let's say 3 out of the 4 sessions, you can receive a micro-credentialing badge, small c, micro-credentialing badge for attending 3 out of the 4 of those sessions for the series. So you may ask, okay, what does this do? So what it allows you to do is not just say, well, I attended a session and this is the topic. That you can say I received a micro-credential in this topic. So for example, a couple of the sessions we're offering this fall under the soft skills, the soft professional skills are public speaking, leadership and communication, time management, and a few others. So that's an example of those badges. We also offer on our YouTube channel, there's a number of badge sessions where you can watch the pre-recording asynchronously. Then you can go to our the badge that is associated with that session, provide a deliverable, and then we can issue you a micro-credentialing badge in various number of topics. We're very excited this semester to be offering or continuing our Career Pathways guest speaker series. So we're looking at 3 guest speaker sessions. Last semester was a strong focus on engineering. And so this semester, we're going to focus a lot on the humanities. So that includes pretty much almost all disciplines outside of STEM. And obviously anyone is invited to attend, but we're going to be doing at the minimum 1 individual alumni guest speaker, 1 panel discussion, and then 1 speaker at the national level over the topic of opportunities in the humanities outside of being a faculty, for example. During the spring semester, we host our 3MT research competition. This is open to master's and doctoral students. It's a really fun competition, and you get to present your research in 3 minutes or less with one static PowerPoint slide. There is an audience, there are judges, and our top 3 people who place, so first, second, and third, receive a financial award. And then in addition to that, we have our audience vote on people's choice, and that person will also receive a financial award. I'm going to skip down to the International Graduate Student Development and Success Program. This is a program that we are launching this semester. And again, it is a series of sessions. So there's 4 sessions involved. And we're going over topics of avoiding plagiarism when you're writing, the graduate writing process, utilizing the library for research and resources, and becoming acclimated to the American classroom. So those are, for this fall semester, those are the 4 topics. During this program, we will also be providing, it's going to be taking place in person in the in person in the student union, one of the student union rooms, and we will be not only providing you the guest speaker for the topic of the week, we'll also be providing you lunch, and we will have swag, which means swag is giveaways, graduate school giveaways. Each of the 4 sessions, there'll be a different giveaway that we'll have for the attendees. The 2 thesis and dissertation support programs. So if you're in a program in a master's program that requires a thesis, or you're in a doctoral program, which all require a dissertation, we provide 2 programs that provide thesis and dissertation support. The first one is Right Now. We offer that program in the fall and the spring, and it's a 6-week, 6-hour course, so 1 hour per week, where we have a different guest speaker come in and talk about the various topics involved in the writing process. And then in addition to that, we talk as a group. After the guest speaker has completed, we talk as a group about goal setting with your writing. How are you achieving those goals? What are the obstacles to achieving those goals, and how do you overcome those obstacles? So that's a weekly thing. And then our dissertation writing camp, which is just for doctoral students, where we provide what we like to call a safe space for 4 days during 1 week in the summer. And we provide breakfast, lunch, writing tutors, a faculty coach, and during this 6 to 8 hours a day, you have a work area set up just for you, and you can just simply focus on writing your dissertation so that you have no other distractions. Now, obviously, the Right Now program and the dissertation writing camp are going to come closer to the end of your program. So this is not something you would register for in your first semester or even first year of your programs. This would be a little bit later down the line. Something that's going on right now, which we work with Academic Innovation, is the Roadrunner Assistantship Academy. And that's primarily for our teaching assistants. So that training is going on currently this week as well. Some funding opportunities we have for you is if you are selected to present your research at a conference, you can apply for our Graduate Student Professional Development Award. The max award is $750, and we do fall, spring, and summer awarding. We have two awarding rounds in the fall, 2 in the spring, and 1 during the summer. We also have something really cool, which is the Graduate School Fellowship Incentive Program. This is primarily a fall program where if you're working with a faculty member, and we also call them a PI, or principal investigator, on a grant, on submitting a grant proposal for funding. If you submit your grant proposal to the graduate school for review and feedback, once you then submit your grant, you can receive a $1,000 award, and your faculty member can receive a $1,000 award. So that's a pretty cool incentive to do to submit a grant proposal. And I am now going to turn it over to Lily, who is our program coordinator here in the graduate school. And she's going to talk to you about some of our truly fun programs.
Thank you, John. Yes, so my name is Liliana Castaneda. So when it comes to community building, we understand that you guys are going to be pursuing your academics, professional development, and it can get pretty busy. And we think it's really, really important for you guys to be able to create community while you guys are here. Pursuing all this can feel like you're sometimes doing it alone, but you're definitely not. And so the graduate school creates environments where you are able to communicate with your peers by giving you guys social events where you guys can kind of unwind, relax, talk, have free food, communicate. So some of the events that we have will be Roadrunner Days. That's a university-wide event where the university is holding a bunch of social games for you guys, and the graduate school's hosting some ourselves. We have First Friday, we have a wellness program that's involving puppies. We have our grand opening where we're gonna have the grad space for you guys. It has computers, it's a space where you guys can go in and study, print posters, anything like that for you guys. That'll be in September. We also have Graduate Student Appreciation Week. We'll have a number of events for you guys to attend as well. So definitely keep an eye on your email for those. The First Fridays and the trivia lunches will all include games, exclusive UTSA graduate school swag, including things like t-shirts and really nice like cups and stuff. It's really awesome. You guys are going to love it. And we're also hosting a downtown campus Halloween social. The puppies, right? They're the best. Sorry, I saw the comments. And then the downtown campus Halloween social. This would be something that we're kind of starting themed, gonna have food. Hopefully we're kind of planning something for your friends and family to come in. It's still in the works. Again, keep an eye on your email, the graduate school calendar. That's where and definitely our social media, we'll be posting all of these events on there if you guys are interested in attending. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started on the Graduate Student Success panel. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce our panelists for us. First, we have Dr. Jesus Oromo, who's our assistant professor in molecular microbiology in Emmanuel. Oh, I cannot say that. College of Science, and he's also an alumni. We also have Dr. Maria Medrano, who's the Director of Diversity and Special Projects at the Graduate School, who's also an alumni. And we also have Gabriela Zapita, who is our administrative associate at the Graduate School, who is also an alumni. So we got a really good group here for you guys. So we're going to go ahead and begin. If you guys want to turn on your cameras, awesome. Hi. Lovely to see you guys. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ask a question to one of our panelists, and they'll be able to relay their advice for graduate student success for you guys. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with Gabriela. What is one favorite memory of your time in graduate school?
Sure. So I have quite a few. I would have to say I have two very specific memories in graduate school that I adore and cherish. One of them is definitely getting to work with my mentor again. So I graduated here from UTSA as an undergrad, and I got to work with my mentor in graduate school. And we got to teach a senior level undergraduate class together in a teaching practicum. And then I would say the second opportunity and memory that I cherish is being able to work in my career field. So I was able to intern at the Holocaust Memorial Museum here in San Antonio, as well as the National Museum of Health and Medicine.
Awesome, thank you. Dr. Medrano, if you knew then what you know now, what is one piece of advice you would give yourself as you began your graduate program?
I would say don't be fooled by how much time it seems like you will have, how much free time, especially for those of you transitioning from undergrad to grad, because classes, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at your schedule, but you meet for your classes once a week for 2 hours, very unlike what it's like at the undergrad level, where you go maybe 3 times a week for about an hour, and it just seems like you have such a hectic schedule. Anyway, all of that to say, it will seem like you have so much time, but all of that time is going to be spent preparing for class. So make sure that you realize how much more work it is to prepare for a graduate level course. So when you show up to class, you're able to discuss ideas and actually contribute to a conversation, because it's going to be very different when you have your classes are much smaller. So instead of showing up to absorb information from a lecturer, you're going to show up to contribute to a conversation. In order to do that, you're going to have to spend a lot of time reading, a lot of time maybe doing some outside reading for the classroom, and kind of looking at things from your own perspective and seeing what kind of new information you can contribute to the conversation. So don't underestimate the time that you will have available.
Awesome, thank you. Dr. Romo, why is it important to find a professional mentor, and how did you go about it?
Yeah, first I want to thank everyone for being here, taking initiative, right, to before you start your graduate school, and I want to thank everyone for the invitation to be here. Mentoring is something that's very important for me. Growing up, I really didn't have a lot of mentors. I'm the first one in my family to even go to high school, so I didn't really have a lot of guidance throughout my trajectory, and mentors were instrumental. I was very, very fortunate to find mentors that truly cared about my success, right? And that helped me. This was specifically more at the graduate school level. As an undergrad, I just kind of fell into things. But mentors are going to be there. And what I want you to remember is that there's no one perfect mentor. You should always surround yourself with a team of mentors, right? Different mentors can play different roles. Someone can be your cheerleader, always being there to cheer you along, to support you. You can have mentors that you interact with day to day, such as your principal investigator that you're in the lab with. You can also have mentors that are currently, working behind the scenes to watch out for you and to, put you up for awards and things like that. So it's important to really surround yourself with a variety of mentors. They're going to be very important for your entire career, right? On top of that, you're going to learn a lot from them in terms of mentoring, because you are going to be in leadership positions. You're going to have to be a mentor. You're going to have to give back, right? So all of that is very important. Now, as far as going about it, right, there's different ways. I mean, in graduate school, you're going to meet a variety of professors in all your classes. If you do rotations, you're going to join labs, right? Get to know those people, right? Maybe you're not going to end up in their lab, but you're going to be interacting with them, especially if you're there in your departments, right? I would also advise you to network as much as you can. Your peers could be your mentors, right? So network as much as you can, get to know your peers. When you go to conferences, go talk to people, talk about their research. If you see someone on a website and you like what they're doing, shoot them an email. I'm always happy to answer emails. Most people will be happy to answer your emails, right? And you can cultivate this relationship, right? But there are a variety of ways to go about it. Email, in person, really get out there and search for these people, because they're very important for your career.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Romo. Gabriela, what is the best piece of advice you received as it pertains to graduate school?
So there's a couple of great pieces. I think the biggest thing is trying to find time for yourself is a big piece of it. Kind of to echo what Dr. Romo and Dr. Medrano were saying, trying to make sure that you take care of yourself. The biggest thing is like when you have big things coming up. So whether it's like your comprehensive exams, your defense for your thesis or your dissertation, or you have a big test or you're grading at the end of the semester, if you take time to just relax, and whatever makes you relax, if that's like spending time with friends or going out for a social event or getting a manicure and pedicure, I find that to be helpful, just so that way, you come into those big events with a clear headspace. And then that way you can have additional success in your academic adventures, especially at those points in time in the semester.
Awesome, thank you. Dr. Medrano, why is professional development as important as academic development?
I think it's important because it kind of if you start doing that at the graduate level before you go out into the workforce, it facilitates that transition from being a student to being a working professional. So you are developing those marketable skills to become a good candidate for the type of job you want while getting your education. So I think that's one. I think it's also important because it allows you to stay relevant and up to date with information within your field. And you can do this by attending conferences where you can practice presenting your research or get involved with other people in your field. And they also make great opportunities for networking. So I think it's definitely a very important thing to do while you're in graduate school, not to mention that you get to know other students who are attending professional development workshops that you can later on collaborate with.
Great. Dr. Romo, in your opinion, what 3 factors are most important for graduate student success and why?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch. It's hard for me to really pick 3, but if I had to say, just based on my experience and those of some of my colleagues, definitely resilience, right? Graduate school is meant to challenge you, to help you think, right? To help you troubleshoot, right? So critical thinking, troubleshooting, all those things are very, very important. And it can get very complicated along the way, right? You're going to be swamped with teaching and research and a variety of responsibilities. So it is difficult, but you can do this, right? This is why you surround yourself with mentors. You take care of yourself. What's important is to always, when you lose track of yourself and what you're doing, it's important to take a step back and recenter yourself. Remind yourself why you're doing this. Why is this your mission? Right? So that's the first one. Resilience, keep up with it. You can do this. It can be done. Rely on others, rely on your mentors. The second one is adaptability, right? Sometimes things may not work out, especially if you're doing research. You could be a year and a half into a project and then you realize this was an artifact. It wasn't real what I was seeing. So now you lost a year and a half. Again, this is worst case scenario. This is not like it happens to everyone. But what I'm saying is you're going to encounter things where you're going to have to adapt and pivot, right? Figure out the best way to go about this, or look at it in the context of, okay, maybe this didn't work out, but what did I learn from it? And how is that going to inform the rest of the things that I do, right? So adaptability is the second one. And honestly, the third, and for me, is something that is very near and dear to my heart, is remember where you came from. Remember what's important to you. For me, my family, my culture, is very important, right? And there are times where, like I said, you lose yourself in graduate school because there's so many things happening. And in graduate school, we feel like every day and every week is the most important day and week of our career. The truth is that this is a long game, right? You got to be thinking ahead. And sometimes you get so bogged down in these things and you almost feel isolated, right? To some extent. So I think really relying on your culture and your family and those who are near and dear to your heart is something that you should definitely be doing during your career, right? But graduate school is fun. You learn a lot. It prepares you to think, and people are going to be paying you to think, which is important, right?
Thank you. Gabriella, what are the best ways to engage in the classroom?
Sure. So there's lots of ways to engage. I would say there's 2 for me. So one is making sure you can contribute to class discussion. So obviously you want to make sure you're doing the readings, whether that's journals or books or maybe, referring to some outside readings, but, sharing, interesting points in those readings that maybe stood out to you, whether that's the author's argument or how it connects and relates to your research or, the topic for that week. Making sure you can connect previous readings together if it's like later on in the semester and you kind of make those bridges and those connections. And then of course you definitely want to, add or echo strong comments that are made by classmates. I think the other second part to that is if you have to present in a classroom, I know for our program, we were able to present a week of reading materials, finding creative ways to present that. So for me personally, making it more interactive versus like a lecture style, I found to be very helpful and beneficial because in that way you're kind of doing hands-on learning through the reading materials that you did for the week.
Great. Dr. Medrano, what role did your cohort and classmates play in the success toward your tenure in graduate school?
I think as a working graduate student, I didn't really realize how important cohorts and making friends within your graduate program was until I showed up to a study session that was planned for the classroom. And I showed up, I walked into the study room and nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew that we were in the same class. And I was like, okay, I've got to make some friends. So it was definitely eye-opening to realize that nobody knew who I was because I was just showing up to class and leaving. So I wasn't engaging with other students. I wasn't networking and I didn't have that sense of belonging that's so important for academic success. So from that point on, I think that was about a year in, I decided to show up to study groups, and it was really interesting because they understood ways in a way that was different from me. We all did. We all had our different ways of thinking. And so studying for exams was really something that was really useful for me, especially because I had to brush up on my stats. And so learning from others who were more experienced was useful. They have that shared experience. They're going through the same program with you. So they understand what you're going through. They understand the stress of trying to fit in graduate school and trying to fit in with your family and try to fit in with your other friends who are outside of the program. So I think those are the two main things. And I think just, again, I keep going back to networking because those are the people that you're going to be with through the program. And when you're outside looking for a job or when you're outside looking to, for someone to collaborate with on a big project, those are going to be the first people you go to.
Right, Dr. Romo, what factors contribute to a successful group project?
Yeah, so are you referring to specifically like in the classroom or in research, or is there, just in general?
General broad question.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so from my experience, I've done group projects in the classroom, and that's a little bit different, right? But definitely communication, learning how to communicate with others is crucial, especially in graduate school, right? You're going to be, maybe doing class project. If you're doing research, you're working with an entire group, right? Other grad students, postdocs, undergrads, faculty member. You may have collaborators across the country, across the world. So communication is key when it comes to working together in groups. Additionally, making sure that you're all kind of on the same page with your goals, right? Understanding what you want to get out of this project. What are you supposed to be doing? What role is each person going to play, right? Make sure that everyone has an assigned role, is on the same page. And in terms of research, it's really important to have basically an understanding of the timeline, right? How long is this project going to take? How much is it going to cost us, right? What milestones are we supposed to be meeting, right? So I guess in a sense, staying organized is key as well. So those are the three things that I would definitely say are very important for collaborative projects.
Great, thank you. Gabriela? How can students keep themselves motivated in a hybrid or fully virtual classroom environment?
Sure. So I would say the biggest thing, make sure you communicate with your professors. If you're not sure on an assignment, or maybe you want to talk about like an idea that you have based on a reading or something that you found towards your research, I think having that open line of communication is important. That way you can kind of like bounce ideas, make sure you're on the right track. Sometimes like having that validation from your mentor or from your professor that you're taking the class with is super beneficial. Another thing is setting realistic goals for the day or for the semester. Understanding that it's very easy to get bogged down and kind of feel like everything's important and you have to get everything done. And, just setting, I think, manageable goals for the day definitely facilitates with that motivation. Because if you give yourself too much, it's very easy to be like, okay, like I'm just, it can be a lot. But giving yourself small goals of like, I'm going to accomplish this today, and it's a totally doable goal, I think facilitates that really well. And then also the biggest thing for me is taking taking small breaks just to like stretch, change scenery, take a walk, just to like, kind of step back from your reading or what you're writing, because sometimes those moments allow for epiphanies to happen, and those epiphanies are wonderful. And so when you allow yourself to kind of just like take a mental break from being in the thick of reading and writing and researching, you really have wonderful moments of research and nuggets of knowledge that come towards you when you least expect it.
Awesome. Thank you guys. That'll conclude our panel. Appreciate all of you guys for coming in and sharing your advice for graduate student success. We're going to go ahead and open it up to Q&A now. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to John Schaefer.
Yeah, so so if you all have questions for our panelists, feel free to pop those in. And as you do that, there were a couple questions during the presentation before the panel that I'm going to try to quickly, and I realized my camera's off. There we go. So I'm going to try to quickly answer. Someone asked questions about can you provide us a link to the programs or some of the things we're offering during the fall semester. You're going to want to look again, as I mentioned earlier, be looking at your UTSA email. We send out emails on a weekly basis, and this will start, I believe, the last week in August. Weekly emails about the upcoming events. So whether those are socials or professional development programs, there will have either, there'll be links to register, or, like our socials don't require registration links. Will the PowerPoint be available for us afterwards? The answer is yes. We are recording this session, so it will be placed probably tomorrow, if not maybe this afternoon, on the UTSA Graduate School YouTube channel to review. And someone said you sold me at puppies. So yes, one of our Roadrunner Day events will have therapy dogs, so you get to come in and play with dogs. Again, just be looking for these events as part of our graduate school emails, and also our events are also located on the Roadrunner Days calendar of events, so you can view it there too. And is the travel award available to us every semester? For graduate students, you can apply for a travel award one time per academic year. So if you receive a travel award in the fall, you cannot receive it again in the spring or the summer. So you can only apply once. And we really don't turn people down for funding. So if you apply, you will receive funding. It's just the amount of funding is going to be based on your travel budget and if you are getting any other funding from external sources. So with that, let's see if we have questions. Is it possible to let's see, that's not for the panel. I'm getting general questions. A lot of these questions will be able to be answered in our next session with our campus representatives. Each individual college orientation information will be emailed to us. Yes, you should be looking at your emails. Again, we don't oversee the department or college orientations, but they will be, those will be communicated with you through your email address. How do I figure out who my advisor is? Again, you will find that out at orientation. Otherwise, you'll want to contact your academic department. Let's see. Any questions specifically for our panel? I did want to mention too, I know that Lily did her introduction. All three of these wonderful people who I consider friends and colleagues are all alumni of UTSA, including Dr. Romo. And I had a very close working relationship with Dr. Romo when he was a doctoral student. And he was one of the winners of our 3MT competition way back in the day. Let's see. Are any of the panelists parents? Are any of you parents? And if so, how did you manage and juggle family and research? As I see Maria smiling.
I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a struggle. The best thing you can do is try to manage your time very well, like really brush up on those time management skills. because those were the times where I really didn't feel like extremely burned out, was when I had my time set up that I was going to spend with my kids. And that wasn't everybody's experiences, but it was mine. And what I had to do was, in order to manage my time a lot better, I had to step back and do my program part-time. So that was one thing. I also made it a rule that I wasn't going to write or do anything on Sundays. I would only break that rule towards the end of dissertation, when I was just like ready to go, ready to just be done. And it wasn't even like I'm done with this. It was more of like I was excited for it. So don't get discouraged about getting to that point. But I think definitely time management was the best tool that I could use, and having that rule of having a set family time that was only specifically to spend with my kids and my husband.
Let's see. If you could, to the entire panel, if you could describe your graduate school experience in one word, what would it be? Considering you're all UTSA alumni, the one word is amazing. I'm gonna turn it over to you, however you all want to answer that. And if we want to, let's start with Gabby.
Well, John, you kind of stole my word. If amazing, amazing is definitely one word. I would say rewarding. It was such a rewarding experience to be able to, I guess, like further deepen my knowledge in something that I had a passion for. So if I had to describe it, it would be rewarding for sure.
And Jesus?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of two words. It depends. Life-changing for me. Like I said earlier, I'm the first one in my family to even go to high school. So for me, it really changed my life and the life of my family, right? It opened the door to a lot of experiences. I had never traveled before until I started my PhD. And during my PhD, I was very fortunate to be able to travel about 4 times a year to conferences, right? Internationally, nationally. So it was a lot of growth. It really changed my life. And honestly, if I had to do it over, I would do it the same way. It was amazing.
I would say eye-opening. It definitely changes the way you see things when you're reading things, when you're taking in knowledge. You don't just take it anymore as a fact. When you're a graduate student, you take it and you start thinking about, how did they arrive at this conclusion? Your critical thinking skills just start developing, and you don't even realize it until you're kind of like towards the end and you start, looking at things in so many different ways. So I would definitely say eye-opening, and I will agree with John. It was amazing. I think, what kind of going back to the question about being a parent, one of the greatest things about my program and the faculty in my program was what they were very understanding. So they knew that I had to work full time, and I communicated that to them at the beginning of the semester. So if I had to miss class, they were very accommodating on, like, you can take your exam before the rest of the class or after the rest of the class, whenever it's more convenient for you. As long as I kept them in the loop as to things that were going on, they were extremely supportive. I never had a bad experience.
And let's see, how do you deal with moments of burnout and procrastination? Gabby, I'll toss that out to you.
For me personally, it was a matter of taking those times. So whether that's, I made a schedule for myself, a doable schedule. And if I, did those things where I took like my 15-minute breaks just to, step away from the book or the screen, or talking academically, just like taking those little breaks definitely helps with the burnout, because you can easily do that when you have a lot going on, especially if you're taking multiple classes, or even towards the end when you're writing, it can be a lot. So definitely carving those times out just to kind of take a break is beneficial. And then also rewarding yourself. I feel like taking the time, whether that's, a self-care day or just, doing something fun that's, outside of your area. I think that kind of helps, because then it's like you have something to look forward to. And it kind of helps, I guess, like, hopefully helps with the procrastination and the burnout aspect, but definitely taking those times for yourself are very crucial.
I would also say, going kind of this is probably a shameless plug for the graduate school and what we do, but going back to all of the things, all of the programming that we offer, whether that be social or professional development or success outside of the classroom, is taking advantage of those opportunities, just giving yourself a break from the coursework, being able to network with your classmates or other students from around the campus. A lot of our social events offer free food where you can just sit down, take a break. Someone asked a lot earlier, do all of your sessions take place during the day? The answer is no. A lot of our sessions, what we try to do, first of all, anything having to do with a guest speaker is virtual, so it's easily accessible. You do not have to come to campus. We're also providing these sessions during the lunch hour. So usually it's like somewhere between 11:30 and 1:30, we're providing these programs. So if you need to you can take a lunch break, hop on your computer, hop on your phone. Even if you need to continue working and you just want to listen in, you can do that. And then some of our social events will be offered in the after work hours. So that's kind of how we're framed out. Let's see, I'm going to toss this back to the panel. Is working while in graduate school doable? And what kind of jobs did you have while in graduate school?
I can jump in. So
go for it.
You'll see that a lot of programs, and I can only speak from the PhD programs. Oh, a little bit through the masters as well. For PhD programs in the biomedical sciences, they basically tell you during the orientation, you cannot work anywhere else. This is your job, right? And for those programs, you get a living stipend. I think nowadays it's like $28,000 a year, and they pay for your classes, right? So you're getting paid to do research and take classes. But as you might imagine, especially for those of us who had to support family, I was helping my parents during my PhD. It is really not possible, right? So there was a lot of maybe hush of some people do, having jobs outside of their doctoral programs. And the one advice I will give you, right, because it's very difficult, and it comes down to each individual and what you need, right, is it's important to have an open relationship with your advisor, kind of talk about these things. But, if you don't want to go that route, what I would recommend is, if possible, find a job that in some way relates to your career advancement and your training during your PhD. So during my entire PhD, I was teaching. So I was teaching medical microbiology at a nursing college. So I would go and do my research, my classes in the morning, and I would leave UTSA around 4 and then go teach in the afternoons, right? And it is very exhausting, right? As long as it doesn't impact your research and your PI finds out, and this happens, it can be done. I would say be very strategic about it if you can. Something that is going to enrich you and make you better in your career trajectory.
Maria, did you want to jump in?
I agree. Well, I agree. Yes, there are some programs that pretty much your research is your job and you get paid for doing that. The way that I kind of worked it around was what Dr. Romo suggested. I worked at the graduate school. My research is on graduate students. So I found a way to work full time, get school paid for, and continue to develop those skills while being in grad school. So that was my only thing, is that I had to do it part-time, the program. And so I knew that it was going to take a little longer. So if you're going to go for that option, then just make sure that you go in with that mentality that you might not have a cohort and that it's going to take a little bit longer, but it's definitely something that's doable.
Any other questions for our panelists?
John, I will say there are about 7 questions in the Q&A below.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Someone asked, as far as our events, are all the events for the graduate school on the Google Events calendar? The answer is yes. We're still building that out. Some of them are already available for registration, but we're waiting for confirmations from some of our guest speakers. And as we get the confirmations, we'll be making those live on the events calendar on the graduate school website. If you go to graduateschool.utsa.edu, those will, the events calendar is on the landing page. The undergrad ID does still work. Let's see. Do you all recommend any books to read before starting or during your time as a graduate student?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I love to read. Uh, you'll find that in graduate school, it's very difficult to make time to read outside of your field, right? So if you're doing research, you're probably going to spend most of your time reading papers. I will still try to make time to read books outside of that. I don't have any specific books. I mean, I like books about basically that are for your growth, right? So specifically books about leadership, books about time management. Those are important. There are, okay, while we keep going on this, I'm going to look for those books. I have both of them. They were both fantastic, having to do with leadership and time management. And I'll post them on the chat here so you can have the links. I can't remember the names of them right now, but I will find them and I'll put them here for you.
So we have, thanks, Jesus. So we have time from this panel for like probably one more question. Maria, I'm going to let you take this. And I think this actually, and maybe Gabby too, because this question really is determined, I think, on whether you're a doctoral student or a master's student. But the person is asking, is 4 classes in a semester reasonable? I was worried I might have overfilled my schedule for my first semester. And my guess is this person's probably a master's student. So Gabby,
Sure.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, it depends. For me, I found that 9 hours was sufficient, just because when you do from undergrad to graduate, you're doing a lot more reading and more intense discussion. So if I would say for first semester, I kind of eased into it personally. So I started with 1 class just so I could calibrate, because like Dr. Medrano had mentioned earlier, switching from undergrad to graduate is an acclimation in itself. So I kind of eased into 1, saw how I did with those, and then I eased into 2. And then I think for one of my last couple semesters, I did 3 classes, so 9 hours. But if you think you could do 4, by all means, but that is your preference. I would just say, you got it. But I would say 3 classes is quite a load in itself, just because you're going to be doing a lot more like reading and researching and things like that. So
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you, Gabby. I did the same thing. Again, coming from a part-time student, I tried 1 class and working, and then I decided I could take 2 classes and work. And then with the 2 classes, I was like, there's no way I could take 3 and work and raise the kids and do all this other stuff. And so just ease your way into it instead of starting high and then burning out in the end. So I would say that would be my advice. And then just going back to the books, there was a book that my mentor did have us read as a lab, and it's called The Long View, and it's career strategies to start strong, reach high, and go far. That's the kind of part of the book. And so we went through each chapter as we met in the lab, besides going through all of our updates, and I found it really useful. And they actually have worksheets for you, so you start planning for your career as you're reading the book.
We're going to do one more question, just because I think this is important to answer, because we may have other people that this may resonate with. I know at my age now, it resonates with me. I haven't, the statement in question is, I haven't been in school in years, decades, and I'm not your typical student. So at 52 years old, what advice can you give me on how to fit in with this much younger group of graduates? I'm gonna jump in and just say, when I was in my graduate program, I was in my mid 30s, but I had classmates that were in their late 40s, early 50s. And for me, it honestly didn't make a difference how old my classmates were. We worked together, towards a common goal in a lot of our group work. We created study groups, and for me, like, the age piece didn't matter. But if Maria or Jesus or Gabby want to jump in and share their thoughts, please feel free.
Well, I mean, what I would say is that in my cohort, when I did my PhD, there were a couple students that were older than the rest of us. Not much older, but they were older, right? And what I will say is that when you're in graduate school, definitely this is true of a PhD program. Age is not really a factor, right, in the relationship. I mean, students are usually by that stage a lot more mature. A lot of us have a lot of responsibility, a lot of things on our plate. So a lot of us are there to work together, get things done, right? Support each other. So I think you'll find, especially here at UTSA with the student population that we have in just the university itself, you're gonna find a very supportive environment that, clearly I feel that I'm out of it when I see a lot of the new things that are coming out and the younger students are doing. But you'll see that in graduate school, you're gonna find colleagues that even though they may be younger than you, they're still there to accomplish their mission. They're serious, they're mature about it. And I think it's gonna be a good experience for both ways, right? For them and for you.
Well, I think we are about at time, so we can start our next section of orientation. Thank you so much, Maria, Jesus, Gabby, for joining us and imparting your wisdom as our new students start their graduate programs. So everyone, feel free in the chat to thank them for their time.
Thank you all. Have a great semester.
Thank you guys. Good luck. We're excited to have you.
Yes, you're gonna do great. I wish you all the best. And again, if you need anything, you see us around campus or you want to shoot us an email, but I'm more than happy to answer your questions and chat with you.
Thank you all. We are moving to our Q&A with our campus representatives. And so we have Levi Rex with Wellbeing Services. We have Sophia Briones with Campus Services. And we have Rafael Farasaca and Ashley Wallace from International Student Services. So welcome everyone. And I think we are missing one person. So I'm going to, while I try to troubleshoot our last person for the panel, Lily, if you can manage the Q&A so I can try to get Sarah as part of our panelists.
Yeah,
So
of course.
any questions that you all have in regards to Wellbeing Services, Campus Services, which would be like campus parking, ID cards, Rafael is here to talk about any questions international students have, which will also continue into, I think, the last part of the program at 12:30. Feel free to ask your questions either in the Q&A function or in the chat.
Okay. They're still typing thank you. So we'll wait. If you guys want to go ahead and again put it in the chat or in the Q&A, and I'll go ahead and read those out and allot those to our representatives.
And we just added Sarah. So Sarah, welcome. Sarah's from the registrar's office, so she can answer any questions about enrollment and student registration.
Okay, someone asked about will we be meeting our advisors soon? Have
Yeah.
you? Okay.
I can answer that question. We actually mentioned this earlier. So your department or college should be reaching out to you about a department or college orientation. That when you have your specific department or college orientation is when you meet like the faculty, graduate advisors, etc. And I don't know if Sarah, you can answer the second part of this. I haven't been able to register for my classes. I'm not sure.
Yes, so you will need to wait till you meet with your academic advisor, only because they have restrictions on them and sometimes they have to release that hold for you to register.
Hi, you do need an ID card to get into the rec. They do like a swipe process, but did you need assistance on how to get it? Or I can include it in the chat, but it's really simple. All you have to do is bring your government issued ID, such as a driver's license, state ID, or passport. It usually takes less than 5 minutes and you'll get your ID card that same day. We are located in the MS building. So we're right next to the student union and the Jimenez garage.
Another question is, and I don't know, Sarah, if you might have the answer to this. A student asks, can they still apply for financial aid?
I'm not financial aid, but I believe you can still apply. You'll just need to speak with a representative from financial aid to see what you can still receive.
And we've been getting this question a lot. Does your undergrad ID, student ID still work? And the answer is yes to that. So someone asked, as far as clarification, orientation for your colleges or department, I don't have a specific answer as to when. The graduate school does not oversee the orientation sessions for departments or colleges. So you will want to reach out to someone in your college department. If you would like, you can email me and I will type my email into the chat. And if you have, and I can forward you to the correct person, but as far as the graduate school, we don't have specific information on your college or department orientations. What time does food on campus stop being sold during the day? Sophia, do you know? I think most of our food services go well into the evening.
Yes, I believe maybe like right now they do end pretty early, I believe around 2 o'clock, but when the semester does begin, I want to say maybe 10, like Chick-fil-A does stay open pretty late as well as Starbucks. But I don't have a set time. Those times won't be released yet. They are available like next week on the UTSA dining website, and it shows you like what's open, what's closed, and just their hours of operation, but not till next week.
And for those of you new to campus, our primary areas for food service on the main campus is in the John Peace Library and in the Student Union, and then the Roadrunner Cafe. We also have pods, or what's provisions on demand, located in all of the academic buildings where you can get snacks and drinks. And then on the downtown campus, the main dining area is in the Frio Street building. Let's see, for Sarah, let's see, if we need to drop a class, when is the best time to do so before any penalty?
I don't have the specific date, but on the academic calendar, there are specific dates on when you can drop a class and still get full financial aid returned to you, or if you did pay anything. But yes, that will be located on the UTSA website. You can always go on the search bar and type in academic calendar, and there's actually specific dates on where you can get 80% back, and then I believe 50, but I believe it's, yeah, I don't have the date with me, but yeah, it's on the academic calendar.
This is a parking question. I'll not be purchasing a parking pass. My classes at the downtown campus, we're only meeting 8 times during the semester in person. What do you recommend as far as paid parking? Sophia?
I do recommend hourly parking at the downtown campus garage. It will be $2.50 for the hour, or you can purchase scratch off tickets at the main campus. So any of those garages with the cashier window, you can purchase a scratch off there. But I do recommend the hourly parking downtown. As far as for Nora Rodriguez, what if we don't have a parking pass yet? It's being sent. You do receive a temporary pass in your confirmation email, or it will be located on the parking portal where you purchased your parking permit on your current page. Right there at the very bottom, it'll say print permit. You can print that out, put on your dashboard just in the meantime until the actual permit does come in. And do I see anything else? For Bob Shields, as soon as you receive your parking permit for the next academic year, you can go ahead and use it, since we know that the academic year does begin next week on Monday. So if you received it today, you can go ahead and use it tomorrow if you'd like.
And someone, I can try to answer this question. Someone else says, I have a question about the UTSA email. I tried to log in, but I can't find a way to reset the password. Sarah, do you know the answer to that? I think it's just either call One Stop or they can do it through ASAP.
Yeah, if you need to activate your email, go through ASAP, log in with the information you received. If you're still having issues, contact Tech Cafe at 5555 or 210-458-5555.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's see.
Can I go ahead and jump in?
Yeah, please.
For Sierra L, I do recommend going in person, since the online process does take a little longer to get your ID. We are open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It takes usually 5 minutes. And like I said, all you have to do is bring a government issued ID with you. If you are waiting on your ID card, I do recommend emailing UTSA card. I can go ahead and put that email in the chat just to see the status of your ID card. And you can pick them up in person at the main campus or even the downtown campus. They're both open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
And Sarah, the question was asked, how can I attend virtual classes that I registered for but haven't received any correspondence regarding this, like a link or anything?
First, I would reach out to your professor to see if you do have access to it. And then if not, I believe, where's that information? Second thing is also make sure you have been registered for that class. I know sometimes you don't register for it and you don't have access to it. One thing to check for is on Blackboard, see if you are registered for it, see if that class pops up and see if anything has changed with the classroom. Maybe it's now in person. So that is something to check on Blackboard with your syllabi, as well as online with your professor.
There is a question, and I don't know if maybe Levi has the answer to this. I know we used to have a child care center. I do not believe that center is open anymore, but there was a question as to what child care options are there at UTSA during class times.
Yeah, so you're right, John. We did have a child care center here on campus. It was actually located out near Breckenridge Lot 5. Unfortunately, as it says in the chat, the center was closed. It had a lot to do with like attendance. There was also some structural issues within the building, so that has been closed. If you do need some assistance or some guidance with childcare, I would recommend reaching out to UTSA. It's just a new department or new area that falls under well-being services. It's called Student Assistance Services. So I would reach out to them, contact them, and they may be able to point you in the direction of like the childcare services you may need. But you know, we flirted with the idea of like providing some sort of like after hours thing. It's just once there's so many children in an area, then it starts to go into like daycare stuff, and you need like licenses, and there's certain policies and things like that that you have to fall under. So we don't really provide like well-being services and provide that. The center is closed, but I would recommend reaching out to student assistance services to see if they can point you in the right direction.
Thank you. There is a question about if you are a current employee at UTSA, can you use that ID? The answer is yes, you do not need a student ID in addition to your employee ID. Medical dental benefits, I believe you can, I mean, again, Levi, you can jump in if you, but I believe you can purchase student insurance. I know that the graduate school and the university are working on insurance benefits for students and graduate students in assistantship positions, so that's forthcoming. I don't know, Levi, if you have any other information on student insurance.
Sorry, I was, so here is the link to our website where it sort of talks a little bit about student insurance and those sorts of services. So all of our resources, departments, counseling service, our center, health clinic, those services are free, but obviously, you know, if you do want that security of insurance and things like that, this is something that you can look into. I know when we're talking about like university provided insurance and things like that, typically we, like, I know me as a staff member, I have Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas. So I will just recommend to y'all, usually visiting a UT Health Science Center facility or doctor, something like that, is going to be a little bit cheaper than going to like someone who's in network or something like that. Typically, a copay at like a UT Health doctor or something like that will be like $10, $15, maybe $20. So you know, I would just say, like, if you do have insurance, or if insurance is provided through like a position that you have, I would recommend seeking out services through UT Health.
So sorry, Sophia, this would be a question for you. This person has evening classes. Should they expect full parking lots around 5 to 6 p.m.?
From personal experience, no, but I do recommend getting there maybe 30 minutes earlier just to secure your spot and just for like time management. But I don't expect it to be full. But yeah.
Yeah, and I would also say there are a lot of parking lots, student parking around the perimeter of the campus, and we do have a runner shuttle. So I think it runs like every 15 minutes to the stops. So just consider giving yourself, if you don't want any frustration with finding a spot, consider parking in one of the perimeter parking lots and then taking the shuttle that'll drop you off close to the center of campus. Let's see, this message or this question is specifically for Sarah. I keep getting emails to pay and now saying I'm not registered for classes. I'm on a fellowship, but ASAP says I am registered. So I think this student is a little bit confused as to the communications.
Some emails may just be reminders, so don't freak out. We do send those a lot just so that to make sure that you are registered. I would highly recommend meeting with your academic advisor just to ensure that you are registered. If ASAP does say it, that's good. That's a good sign. Just to double check with your academic advisor just to ensure that there's no issues that you need to maybe submit any documents. Double check with them, and then if you need further assistance, One Stop is a great resource as well.
There's a question. I'm online only and not an alumni, so I need assistance with getting my ebooks and understanding how to view and turn in work assignments. I would suggest contacting your department or your faculty, but in lieu of that, you can also log on to Blackboard Learn, and you would log in with your ABC 1, 2, 3 and your passphrase, and your course should be listed there, and the faculty, your faculty member may have already listed links to ebooks and already have answered some of the questions. If nothing else, should provide contact information for you to reach out to your faculty member. Someone asked, how safe is the 1604 campus now? What levels of security are in place for students? Sophia, do you want to talk about that since it's kind of related to parking?
Yeah, I can try. Regarding safety, I know PD often mention they have PD patrolling like all the time. We do have parking enforcement. So they are out there, and we also have those blue poles all around campus. I'm not too familiar with those since they are with PD, but they are scattered like all around campus. So they are very helpful, and I guess they do like just make the campus feel more secure and safety.
This question is for Raphael. It's an international student. I just realized that all my 9 credit hours say online only at set time. Is that okay? If not, what do I do? And how does this affect my UTSA tuition fee loan?
Okay, very important for those of you that have an F1 status in the US. 9 credit hours is full-time, but out of those 9 credit hours, 6 credit hours must be either in person or hybrid. So only one online class that can be 3 credit hours will count towards your full-time enrollment. That got changed very recently on the month of June when we got that notice, and we've been saying it in our student sessions. Also, we said it this morning in our orientation. Basically, you can enroll for one online class that will count for your full-time enrollment. 6 out of those 9 must be either in person or hybrid. It cannot be completely online, all your registration. So definitely you want to check that with your academic advisor and let them know that as an international student, you must have at least 6 credit hours with in-person components.
Thank you. And Levi, how soon can we use or make appointments at the Wellness Center for mental health care?
So as soon as like if you've registered for classes, if you've been like accepted by the university, I mean, I know classes start next Monday, but if you need any of those services in the meantime, you should have access to them.
And then to go off of that, one student asked if they could have a brief overview of everything that Wellbeing Services offers.
Yeah, I don't want to take up too much time because I know we're probably gonna have other questions, but I'll just say, so Wellbeing Services is the outreach, education, and promotions portion of our health clinics. So we go out, we talk about health topics, mental health topics, things like that. And then there's sort of the flip side of that, which is Wellness 360. And Wellness 360 is our actual clinical services. So this is going to be like our counseling center, our health clinic, where you can go get STI testing, maybe let's say some counseling, therapy, one-on-one sessions. You need some blood work, you need some lab work, you can go to Wellness 360. And then for Wellbeing Services, that's going to be more programs and events, more like creating opportunities for you to like engage in the community, get involved in social well-being or some of the social aspects of what we've got going on here at UTSA. We do de-stressing activities, we go tabling, we go present to classes and things like that. And then I'll just plug, so next Wednesday from 4 to 8 p.m. we're having a well-being fair and / magic show. So we're calling it the Magic of Wellbeing. We're going to have an award-winning magician. His name is Ben Jackson. He actually came by last semester during the fall Roadrunner days. But there's going to be food, there's going to be mocktails, giveaways, prizes. Ben's a fantastic magician. So I definitely recommend that. That'll be next Wednesday, 4 to 8 p.m.
Perfect. Thank you. I think I've hit just about everything. Does anyone else, any of our students have any other questions for our campus reps? I'm looking at both the chat and the Q&A, and I'm so far. I paid the tuition on the 6th of August and got the receipt, but my ASAP shows a hold. But I don't have the account. The hold, you have to figure out who has the hold, like what department, and reach out to them to see what you need to do to have that hold lifted. For example, it could be International Student Services, it could be graduate admissions. You'll just want to check. Do non-international students need to have 6 out of 9 classes in person? No, that's not the case for domestic students.
Correct. That only applies for not only international students under F1 visa status. If you are under a different type of visa like H1, TD, TN, other types of visa like H4, it's up to you. You can enroll, you don't have those requirements. Only if you're under J1 and F1 status. I don't think we have any J1s in the graduate program, but just in case, F1, J1 status, definitely they need those 6 credit hours.
Sarah, I don't know if you know the answer to this. What is the process of deferring? I think they're talking about deferring admission. I think you would just need to contact graduate admissions to defer your application to a like the spring semester or something like that. Well, I think that's it for specifically for our domestic students. If you are a domestic student, which means you are non-international, you are welcome to log off at this time. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you to our campus reps, almost said campus reps, Levi, Raphael, Sarah, and Sophia for being with us this afternoon. And again, for international students, you'll need to stay on the webinar. Domestic students are free to go on with the rest of your day, and we'll see you all next week when classes start for the fall semester. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ashley and Raphael.
Thank you, John. Thank you. I think we're going to use this time to just probably some of you already came in the morning for our orientation, but just to kind of show you again what the process is for checking. Very important that you guys do it. I'm gonna go ahead and ask John if you can give me the option to share my screen real quick. Oh
yes, I made you a co-host. You're good to go.
Great, thank you. So again, this is a reminder from this morning. We're gonna keep reminding you guys, immigration checking is always the first step you wanna do after you arrive to the US. And you do it through going to international.utsa.edu. And then you go through your student profile. You wanna go to the student request portal and hit immigration checking. You click there, you will have these options or these questions actually, in which you answer. If you enter as an F1, the date of entry, I'm just gonna use today's date. Also, you wanna put an actual address in the US if you already have one. I answered this earlier today. If you don't have an address yet, if you already know where you're gonna stay, you can put that address, even if you haven't moved yet. But if you don't have one at this moment, you may use our office address or the university address at the moment, and then communicate with our office as soon as you get an apartment or a house in San Antonio. So you want to put the address of the university. I just made a few changes here. So now you have the list of documents that you can upload. The main thing or the required one, it's gonna be your I-94 and having a local address. There is a link here to get your I-94 as well, for those of you that haven't got it yet. A copy of your I-20 if possible, a copy of your visa, and a copy of your passport. Once you're done with this process, you will have an option here or a button that says submit. Once you submit it, you'll be complete with your immigration check-in. And another thing that we wanna talk about is gonna be for those of you that got a graduate position already waiting for you, definitely you wanna do immigration check-in first, but then you wanna go to the letter request section right here. And you will be answering this question that says, if you have arrived to the US, if you are already here, you answer yes. And then you select the Social Security letter. That's the one in order for you to apply for Social Security. We also have the one for the DMV if you need a driver's license. But we use this one as an example because it's the most used one. You want to go to Social Security, but also make sure you upload proof that you've been hired on campus. Keep in mind, the only way that you can apply for a Social Security number is that you have already a job on campus waiting for you. So keep that in mind. I know last time we did a kind of like a long presentation. Now, probably I'm gonna take this time to just answer a question with Ashley here. So if you want to go ahead and ask your questions, we can start addressing them at this moment. Okay. Am I supposed to, okay, let me see. I think I see some questions here already. Great. If it doesn't appear, it might be depending on what your immigration status is. Keep that in mind. If you are an F1, you should have it there. Let me see. Let me check on. Let me take a look real quick. I'm checking on. Oh, I think it's because at this moment, you still consider that you are an OPT. So we still need to move you from one level of education to the other. So Jose, I think that's why you don't see the check-in, because you are a continuing student from previous level of education. We have to change your profile from OPT student to be on the new level of education, basically. So eventually you don't have to do immigration checking. We'll just CVS register you on your new level. I have a student who is asking if you have to download your I-94 before my arrival. The answer is no. So you need to be in the US in order to get an I-94. If you haven't arrived to the US, you don't have an I-94 yet. So you won't use it at the port of entry. Just by going through the port of entry, you get the I-94 basically. Is there a deadline for submitting the deferral request? Well, that one you have to check it with the graduate college. I do know they want at least before Census Day for you to let them know if you are deferring. We can move the I-20 within, I think it's within 60 days from the moment that, from the start date of your program. So we have a 60-day window to defer your I-20. However, it's important if you are deferring your admission to communicate with the graduate college, because if we defer your I-20 and you come in January, if you didn't defer your admission, you may not be able to register. So you want to start that conversation with them as well. Are H4 students consider H4 visa consider international students and can take online classes? You are considered an international student, but you don't have those limitations. As an H4, you are not required to maintain full-time enrollment or enroll in in-person classes. For H4s, it's up to you. The only thing to keep in mind is, as an H4, you are not allowed to work in the US, basically. Okay, if, I have a student who's asking regarding a social security number. If you already have a social from where you were an E2, I see. If you're now an F1, you can still have that social security to work on campus. But keep in mind that if you still an E2, technically you're not allowed to work on campus. So it depends what is your immigration status right now. I know I can check online and check in our system with your name, but you know, as of right now, I'm gonna assume that you're an F1 student. If you're an F1 student and already have a social security, that number stays with you forever, basically, for the most part. So that won't change. You'll still use the same. Two of my online courses are core courses. Could I take those courses? Okay, that will, again, we go back to having 6 credit hours of in-person or hybrid model. So you need to contact your graduate advisor to make sure that if you are required to have these classes, at least find a hybrid or in-person class. If an H4 has an EAD, they can work, right? Yeah, I mean, the answer is yes. That is one of the exceptions. Normally an H4 that has an EAD is because they have an H1 who is transitioning to permanent residency. If that's the case, you can apply for an EAD, or you probably already have an EAD. If that's the case, yeah, you can work. But mainly just being an H4, technically you cannot work unless you have an H1 who is transitioning to permanent residency. Okay, so you are on F1, great. Yeah, since you are on F1, you can use your social security number still. That won't change. Okay, I think that was the last one so far. What else we got here? Okay, let me check on the Q&A area. So I see one student who is, when I get a new I-94, I'm transitioning to PhD from my master's. Well, Sahil, a new I-94 will only be available when you enter or departure the country. So if you are here and you just move from a master's to a PhD, that won't change anything on your I-94. Keep in mind, your I-94 doesn't reflect any like level of education or anything like that. It just reflects your immigration status and when you enter to the country, and until when you're supposed to stay in the country. So transitioning from master's to PhD won't change your I-94. The only way you're gonna get a new one is if you left the country and are re-entering. That's the only way. Oh, you meant I-20. Yeah, so you will get a new I-20 if now you're doing a new level of education. So if you transition from a master to a PhD at UTSA, there is a process that needs to be done to change your level of education. But if you're going to, well, I will imagine if you're here in orientation, definitely you are attending UTSA. So yeah, there has to be a change of level for you to get a PhD I-20. All right. And I think I just answered all of them. What else you got, guys? Okay. All right, I think then we answer everything so far. We are happy to have you here. Thank you for those of you that joined in the morning as well. We have another student session on Friday. And for those new students, we are actually having an in-person event on Friday at 5 p.m. In the UTSA Oval. It's like right next to the bus stop. So I think we just sent an email about it probably like an hour ago with that information, how to get there. So we hope to see you in person on Friday. And I know a lot of our students haven't had a chance to do in-person kind of events. So you are lucky. It's the first time we're doing in-person events in a while. So thank you for those of you that joined today, and hopefully we get to see you on Friday morning or Friday afternoon in our in-person event. I think those were all the questions, John.
Wonderful. My light turned off, so I'm kind of in the shadows. Thank you everyone for attending. To our international students, welcome to UTSA, and we look forward to seeing you at many of our events for this upcoming semester. Have a wonderful start next week, and good luck, everybody.
Thank you guys, and always keep up watching your UTSA email, because I know John always has like very cool events. Remember, you're also a UTSA student. You're not just international. So please participate on all those events.
Agreed.